Show me, show me. That's what people say when you list your house. They want to see it. Hi there, this is Tamara Dorris, your real estate professional and your real estate professor in the Sacramento area. And today I'm going to talk about something that usually doesn't come up until when we're sitting at the listing table. But I want to go ahead and, put that little bug in your ear so you can think about it. You can contemplate it, speak to your significant other or whatever, just so you know, by the time I get to the table or your realtor from wherever sits down and talks to you, so you have a good answer. One of the things that your agent's going to want to know is showing instructions. What are showing instructions? Showing instructions are the way that you allow buyers to preview your home. Now, a couple things I want to mention. First of all, it used to be a lot more common for people to have day jobs. And so it was just either call for an appointment or just go straight there. There's a lockbox. Show between the hours of whatever and whatever. But since COVID happened, a lot more people are working remotely. And, sometimes as a seller, you can get this idea in your mind that, well, I'm working at home. I don't want people to look at it during the day. Okay, that's one thing. Another thing you can do is say, well, my evenings and my weekends are for my relaxing time with my family. But listen, people can't write an offer on your house unless they can get inside and see it, right? So it's really, really important that you find some sort of compromise on when you're open to letting people preview your homes. Now, a lot of times when I have sold homes over the years that were tenant occupied, that's a whole different story. So if you are an investor or you're a landlord and you're selling your rental, that's different. In the case of you having a rental, then we can actually say, do not bother tenants. And that the buyer's agent would have to come to me and then I would make an appointment with you. Or if you have a good relationship with your tenant, you can ask them to either let me as a listing agent or the buyer's agent make direct contact. Here's the thing though, if we're talking about listings that are occupied with tenants, it's really, really important to know how cooperative your tenants are going to be, not just for showings, but for keeping the place picked up. Because what does it mean when your landlord says, I'm putting the house on the market? What goes on in the tenant's mind? Oh, crud, I have to move. They don't like that. They don't like it. They don't want someone coming in their home. They're not making any money off this. In fact, it's a big inconvenience for them, and it's going to have them end up having to move. So it's very, very important that if you have a property that you're selling and tenants occupy it, that one, if you don't think that they're going to keep it super clean and you don't think that they're going to be very cooperative, maybe wait till they move out. Maybe give them their 30 or 60 day and maybe wait till they move out. If you feel like they're going to be really cooperative, find a way to show your appreciation. You know what I mean? I mean, give them some kind of a break or a gift or something. It'll make them much more eager to want to support what you're doing. Okay? But back to you. I suggest, and this is just a suggestion, and it will depend on your family situation, on your work-life schedule, everything else like that. But what I usually recommend for my sellers is, let's say, if you're not home during the day, let's put a lockbox on and say, can be shown between the hours of, 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. There's a lockbox. Go show it. However, if you work from home, it's very easy just to have me or your agent put in the MLS, call first for appointment. It's really simple. And then that way, if you're working at home doing your thing and a buyer's agent calls you and says, hey, I'd like to show your property this afternoon at 2, then you can say yay or nay. Remember, with every nay, you're pushing a buyer away. Now, another thing that I have had a lot of sellers do over the years, especially over the recent years, is ask for a 24-hour appointment. I think that's kind of pushing it, but if that seems to be what's going to work for you, it can. The reason I say I think it's pushing it a little bit is because if I'm a buyer and I'm coming into town and I only have one day, I'm like coming up from LA or something, and I have one day, I'm going to want to see all the properties I can. Maybe it's a last minute trip, but maybe I'm really motivated. And if I don't get to look at your listing, then I'm not going to be able to write an offer on your property. Okay. A lot of times too, buyers, agents will make an appointment to show the property, and they'll do it via video or via FaceTime. So technology is changing a lot of the things with showing. With technology and virtual tours, we can see a lot more of a property online. And then what's really good about that is that way the people that are coming to look at your home are really super motivated and serious. So that's why as a listing agent, I make sure that buyers and the buyers agents see as much of the property as possible. I don't, you want to put as many pictures in MLS as possible. It's up to 27 pictures now. So even if it's just like around the corner of the backyard and just little alcoves here and there, get everything you can, in the MLS. Not you, but me. This is the thing that I work on, is making sure I get as many pictures as possible. Okay. Some people are a little bit apprehensive about having a lockbox. A lockbox is generally safe. And when I say that, I want to really be clear that I'm not making a disclaimer that it's 100% fail-proof, safe no matter what. You have a chance of falling out of the sky in an airplane, and you have a chance of having your home get burglarized. So that's just a fact. But I can tell you, in my 30 years of experience, I have never, ever had any problems with any burglaries or anything like that from having a lockbox on a property. I will tell you, though, in my mother's career, who was also in the business 30 years, she did have a vacant home one time where the buyer's agent failed to shut the door all the way. It was a vacant property. There was nothing in it but a brand new, what are the expensive vacuums? I forget what they're called. They start with a K, but it was a brand new one of those vacuum cleaners. And somebody just came to the house. The door was ajar and someone took the vacuum cleaner. So that's the only time I know of anything ever happening bad. But just for your own safety and your own sense of not worrying, just understand that lock boxes are very, very robust. So you can't really break into one. You can deadbolt them, but that doesn't get the key to them, right? So it's not something that someone can steal the lockbox with deadbolts and then say, how do I get this key out? It's very, very next to impossible. So that being said, the only time I would ever encounter something tricky with lockboxes is if you have a door that's hard to lock or hard to close. Now, I have had in my career, only a few years ago, in fact, I have had a buyer show one of my listings and they left the key on the kitchen counter of the house that they were showing. And then they locked the bottom lock on the way out. And then they didn't put the little cup back in the lockbox. That's happened a few times to me. So this is why whenever I take a listing, I ask the seller, can I please have 2 copies of a key? One for me and one for the lockbox. And that's because I know that those things can happen. It's not very common. I mean, it's not very common, but I don't want to have to worry about it. If my seller, is in San Francisco for the weekend and a ding dong agent, sorry, but they left the key on the kitchen counter and you're not going to be home for 3 days and it's a weekend that a lot of buyers want to show your property, I'm going to go over to your house and I'm going to put a new key up, or I'm going to go let people in to see it. So this is why having 2 keys is really good. Okay, so that's the main thing about showing, is be compromising in the times you're allowing people to come. You can absolutely make it by appointment. I kind of hesitate to say make people give you 24-hour notice. Okay, another thing with showing, make sure if you have pets that they're somehow contained. Now, if you have a cat that just kind of lounges around, no big deal. If you have a cat box, make sure it's kept clean or kept in a garage or something, because we get used to the smells in our home and we're walking around and we don't smell it, we don't notice it. But if you go into a home and you don't have any pets and you go into a home that has pets, it can have an odor. And if you're one of those people that are watching this and saying, well, too bad, if people don't like pets, they don't have to buy my house. But really think about that, right? Really think about that. People evaluate environments based on their 5 senses, which is the eyes and the nose, right? Those are the 2. And even the sound, like if you live next to a railroad track or an airport, the sound is going to have an effect. Hopefully not a taste. I don't think people go around licking your walls, but you get what I mean. So you want to keep the smells down to a minimum. Now, another thing with pets is dogs. Do you have dogs? Dogs are different than cats. Dogs can bite, growl, jump, And you don't need to be sued because some person wants to go in your house to look at it and your dog, Fido, knocks him over and all of a sudden they're suing you in your homeowner's insurance because your dog knocked him over and caused a concussion or whatever. I know that's far-fetched, but I'm just saying you have to be really careful about that. So make sure that you crate your dogs or you have them out. Have them out of the premises. Now, I've had plenty of clients over the years who work from home or they go home whenever I say I have a showing or another agent has a showing, and they take their dog around the block. Easy, easy breezy, right? Easy breezy to do that. Now, when it comes to vacant houses, and in the Sacramento area, I don't think it's much different in other metropolitan areas. Maybe in rural areas, squatting is not as common. But I will say in most normal regions, squatting is a real thing. Squatting is when someone finds a way to get into your home and stay there. They're just going to hang out. I have seen in my career, I have seen it more frequent in the winter months when it's cold and people are looking for safe haven or they're looking for shelter. But the point remains that if you have a vacant property that you're selling, let's say you've already bought another house and you're moving into it because you wanted to put your house up on the market when it was vacant so that we can make it look really nice, without clutter and everything else. Great idea, but it's really, really important when you have a vacant property that we're a little bit more restrictive on showings. So if I have a vacant property, I do not put in my listing in MLS, I do not put vacant show anytime. Why? Because that's just like an invitation. Now, granted, only other agents are going to see that, but I still don't want agents willy-nilly just going over and showing the property at 8 o'clock at night or 3 o'clock in the afternoon or whatever it is without me knowing it. So especially for my vacant properties, I do this with all listings, but especially for my vacant properties, I say text listing agent for showing instructions. And then when the agent texts me and says, "Hi, this is John Smith with ABC Realty. Can I show your property on Elm Avenue at 2 p.m. today?" I can say, "Yes. Lockbox next to sprinkler on side fence. It's vacant. Go show." Okay. It's a little bit more time and trouble on my end, but you know what? It makes me feel a lot better. One of the things I do, and when I have listings that are within a 10, 15-minute drive and I know that they're vacant, I will go look at it. I mean, I have been known to go and turn sprinklers on in the summer for my sellers who didn't have automatic sprinklers who were going to be out of town. It's important because I feel like you've trusted me with this property and I want to make sure it's okay. Now, I'm not saying 100% that I'm going to be there and watchdog it all the time. Anything can happen, but I try to make it look like it's not a vacant property as much as possible. So we want to really, really pay attention when we're giving showing instructions, what that means and who can look, and be very careful, making sure we know which agents are going to be showing it. So if anything were to go wrong, anything were to go missing, then I can at least follow up with that agent. Now, speaking along those lines, another thing that I want to make sure that you understand is how important it is to remove things from the property that is not very, valuable, near and dear to your heart, or dangerous. In other words, don't have a bunch of alcohol sitting out. Never have guns that are not locked up. Don't leave money and expensive jewelry around. In an ideal world, people are always honest and we don't have to worry about it. But even when I do open houses over the years, I'm very, very careful to tell my sellers, please make sure alcohol, guns, jewelry, medication is up and out or under lock and key. Because if I'm holding your house open, for example, and I've got buyers that just came in and I'm greeting them and I'm talking to them, but buyers are already looking around the property, they could slip into your bathroom. And I mean, I'm sorry, I like to see an ideal world, but it happens. And I don't want it to happen to you. So that's why I'm saying when it comes to showing, be very conscientious and go through each room and say, is there anything in here someone might steal? And just make sure, just for your own sanity, just make sure that you remove it or put it in a box and store it or under lock and key or whatever it is. So with these guidelines, I hope this has given you some idea of how you can make the showing of your property a little easier, whether you're a landlord and have tenants in the property, and if they're cooperative and clean, those are the 2 C's, cooperative and clean, then sure, let them stay. And make sure, by the way, with that, we want to make sure we put in the MLS. So you have to tell your listing agent what date will the property be available. Because remember, if your tenants have lived there over a year and you have a lease with them, you have got to give them a 60-day notice. So, even if you are mad at them, unless you've gone through the eviction process, and it's really tricky to show houses when they're in the eviction process, but unless you've done that, you really want to be careful about how you conduct, especially in California. It's a little bit different in this state than any other state. Listen, I've been teaching property management for California residential real estate for a number of years. And so I know all the ins and outs, and it can be really, really tricky for landlords. Sometimes the best case scenario is to wait until they're out. But I leave that up to you, and your agent can always discuss that with you. So clean and cooperative is the keywords for showing property with tenant occupied. Always make sure that your agent knows that you have certain time periods during the day that you don't want them to show your house if you're working from home, even if you're not, and be compromising on the weekends, evenings. Also be conscious about pets and pet smells. Make sure your doggies are okay. Make sure your alcohol is stored away. And I think that will give you a lot of help. I hope you have a great day. Subscribe to my channel so I can tell you more information that will be helpful in buying and selling a property. And look at all the other videos I have down here. Have a great day.